The quest of research has endeavored her in chairing sessions and presenting paper at various international conferences in India and abroad. She has, under the banner, almost 51 research papers in peer-reviewed international and national journal and conference. Dr. Burma has authored one book. Dr. Arunima Burma, currently Associate Dean PG Study and Research, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University, Lucknow. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so that was a very big introduction of mine, although it wasn't required actually, because most of you who are here know me, because most of you all belong to, except barring a few, I think they belong to IKTU only. So, so I would like to first of all thank all the team members of the FDP committee, including the coordinators who have organized an FDP, which is very fruitful in the sense that it is being sponsored by, I think, Atal AICT Atal, I suppose. Under that banner only, you are organizing this FDP.
No,
So,
ma'am, this is
yeah.
sponsored by FET, ma'am. FET AKTU Lucknow, ma'am.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yes.
Fine. So it's sponsored by, I think, AKTU only. And then also, anyway, FDP is a very good platform for all the faculty and the research scholars to basically come together and discuss certain topic and get to know about in detail about the various uh, research areas that are going on. And today the FDP is basically based on advanced control technique. I think whatever the 5-day FDP that is going to be held, and I think it has started yesterday only. So from yesterday, you must have already been well versed with the advanced control system. Normally, what happens is, let me give you a brief idea about what you can say, um, control system. That is one basic line I would like to say, that in any and every application of be it life or be it say industrial application, you confront with certain type of controlling of parameters, controlling of an operation or something of that sort. Then you can say that when you don't get a desired output, then you have to monitor that output, and you want to get a desired output, and then only you can come to the controlling part of that particular area. Now, in general, whatever we have studied till now, and we keep on studying, is the linear control system that we have already done. That is a very simple part, which you all must have done in UG, PG, and a bit of advanced control technique. Now, to start with my topic, let me introduce you to the topic of mine, that is the application of, sorry, I think I missed that one. Let me open up that window. Let me share my PPT. Yes. So it is application of basically AI techniques, a few of the AI techniques which you all know, that nowadays machine learning AI techniques, it is getting very much upcoming in the area of research. Whatever we have done is, I think, is it getting shared? Is the screen getting shared?
No, ma'am, not visible, ma'am.
Okay, so wait.
Okay, ma'am.
Let me first share the screen. Okay, great. Now is it getting shared?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So yes, I was telling you about application of basically AI techniques, which is nowadays every research, every nook and corner of the research is getting placed. I mean, it is done in AI itself. All the variable different types of programming AI techniques are there, and that you employ in various applications. And being an electrical engineer, obviously, we apply these techniques in our electrical applications. And one such application is variable frequency drives, and which include basically induction motor drive and your PMSM, etc. And the two techniques that I'll be dealing with today is your fuzzy logic and artificial neural network and speed controller design. Since we are talking about advanced control systems, so definitely it is going to deal with the nonlinear problems. And one such problem is optimal control problems, which basically deal with, uh, tracking of certain parameters so that's to achieve a certain target. Or you can say we try to minimize or maximize one of the parameter specifications or say performance index, and then we achieve a certain value of input control signal, and we call it an optimal value. And in that sense, I'm going to introduce to you about the optimal control system. A brief introduction will be there because it is it is in itself a big topic. And then I'll be telling you about a bit about the speed control technique of which is being used in this model, that is direct torque control scheme. And one such controller which I'll be dealing with is 5-level torque controller. You must have all heard about the 3-level and 2-level torque controller and flux controller respectively in direct torque control scheme, if you have all are well versed with the DTC. And then how we are going to use the AI technique, the two that I mentioned in speed controlling, right? And finally, I'll just show you the results and discussions, and we'll deal with the discussion, right? So to give you a brief idea, now as I already told you that we have to find an optimum value, or you can say we have to find one such value of input control signal, which obviously is varying with respect to time. That is, over a period of time that input control signal is varying. But how to find out that particular input for which you are going to get an optimized value? Number one thing. So for that, what we do is we select a certain performance index, or you can say a certain parameter which we need to maximize or minimize while designing the control system. Now, when we are talking about optimal control system, so definitely we will have a feedback of that. So it ought to be a closed loop control system instead of an open loop, because we want a desired output, and that desired output is obtained only at one particular value of input control signal, which will be actually obtained, as I told you, by maximizing or minimizing the performance index. Now, to precisely define the optimal control system, basically when we do the optimization, or optimization means it may include maximization or minimization, but normally in a closed loop control system, you will find that most of the times we minimize the performance index so as to obtain the desired output. And secondly, the thing that you have to keep in mind is the controller configuration here is unconstrained. Unconstrained means anyone in the group who can say what is an unconstrained controller configuration. Yes. Yes. Those who are listening, although it is an online technique, but we will interact so that we don't get bored. Okay. Yes.
Ma'am, if we are considering any constraints on control, that means any minimum value, maximum value, either control or state.
Unconstrained means you're not putting any limit.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Yes. So now you may ask, or rather you should ask, what is the difference between parameter optimization and optimal control system? Can anyone say that? What is the difference between? And there's one major difference.
Ma'am, parameter optimization means we need to optimize the controller parameters. Suppose if it is PID, KP, KA, KD, we need to optimize and get the desired values. But optimal control means we need to obtain the optimal control in order to minimize the given performance index.
Okay. So to some extent, you stated the same, which is put in the slide. But the major difference that you will come across both although we put in synonym these two words, that is parameter optimization and optimal control system, but basically they are different in the sense that in parameter optimization we use certain kind of constraints, we put limits, whereas in case of optimal control problem we don't put any limit. That means it is an unconstrained controller. What I mean to say is, when you're using a controller, then in optimal control problem, that controller will not be limited. That means there is no boundation in what type of controller you are using or what degree of controller you are using. Whereas in case of parameter optimization, where you are particularly focused in optimizing one of the parameters, that means you are either maximizing or minimizing the parameter, then in that case, obviously you should have a controller which is predefined. That means if we say we want to have third order controller or second order controller with that a particular type of configuration. So when that type of controller is defined or predefined, then we call it a parameter optimization. And when the controller is not defined and it is not required to be defined, then we call it a optimal control system, right? This is the major difference between the two. Now, next, to achieve the first part, we set a design specification and a target is required. Obviously, a target is definitely in a control system. You should have a target, then only you want to control a thing. It is but obvious. And the most common ones are that whatever target that we want to achieve and the design specifications that we are, setting up, they should lead to stability and robustness of closed loop control system. Stability means that over a period of time and with the passage of disturbance, there should not be any instability in the system, and the operating point should lie within the range specified. And robustness means how tough your closed loop system is, or how adaptive your closed loop system is with the different changes in the variables, right? And then after that, because these two are the common ones, now we would like to define about the desirable parameters, that is to achieve the performance requirement and time domain. Particularly, we take up with the parameters such as rise time, settling time, peak overshoot, and obviously the error is one of the such steady state parameters that we consider in performance evaluation of any of the industrial application. So this particularly, these are the parameters which I mentioned. They are in time domain, and then we have frequency domain parameters also, which we define in certain cases, but in optimal control system, normally it is defined in time domain term only. And I was talking about the performance index. Now, performance index is basically, you can say it is a function of time and error, and which optimizes the cost function by finding a solution. Now, these are the various 4 types of performance index that we use, indices that we use, that is integral, square error, absolute error, time absolute error, and time square error. Now, these are the various. Now, what happens is, although the cost function in certain applications may be 1, or in other applications it may be more than 1. So out of these 4 parameters, we may minimize one such parameter, or we may do one thing, we may go for minimization of all 4 parameters or combination of that, right? So basically the problem that we are dealing with right now in speed control of variable frequency drives, we will use performance index minimization as a cost function, and then we'll go for how we are obtaining the optimal value using AI technique, right? Now, Normally in optimal control system, we deal with various types of techniques like Lyapunov stability criteria is there. Then we have observers like Kalman filter and all. We use that way, and one such common control, trajectory control, if you want to say, then we go for predictive control. Predictive is something which basically calculates, it predicts, as the name suggests, it predicts the future value, that is it is optimistic in nature. It predicts the future value and control action and performs a certain function by, I mean, it is a algorithm designed in such a way that optimization problem at each time interval will be solved, it will be calculated, and finally you will get a predicted value. Now, as you can see in the graph, I hope you can see in the graph that there is demarcation between the past and the future. So on the past side, you have it gets certain, it takes the data from the past values, and then it evaluates the performance function, or you can say the cost function, and finally it predicts the different values at the output side, which are going to be, which are going to occur in future. As you can see, there is a random manipulated variable, and the target and how that predictive control achieves the target. So as and when it gets the data from the past, it evaluates and finally leads to the minimization of the error between the target and the output that we are going to have. Now, this is what is actually the control system that we deal with in optimization. So this type of predictive control basically is very good in the sense that optimality is achieved, logical decision is there, and constraints we don't put into that, and shortcomings out of that we have. Definitely it is a very slow process demanding computation, because it requires each time it is going to take the data from the past and evaluate and go for the function and all that. So it becomes a bit tedious and requires a lot of memory as well while algorithm is being designed. So to make the system in totality a fast process control system, we go for AI techniques that we will be dealing with. This is the type of different types of predictive control. We have deadbeat control, hysteresis based control, which is used in direct torque control, as we will be dealing with that. Which I told you that I'll be introducing you to the 5-level flux controller. So that 5-level flux torque controller basically is based on this hysteresis band control. And then we have trajectory based, and finally model predictive control. So basically what I mean to say is, in predictive control, you require 3 stages. Number 1 is you should have a model to be predicted with. Secondly, there should be a limit or boundary defined for the optimization. And third, finally, you have the control output, right? Now, this is the part which I'm going to discuss in detail. As I already told you that we'll be dealing with the obtaining of or improvement of transient response specifications, as you can see over here, where I defined that to achieve performance requirements in time domain, we take up these parameters, that is, or specifications, that is rise time, settling time and all. And these have been considered here as well under different dynamic conditions. That is starting, speed reversal, load application. Now, industrial motor, which works at very high power, and it has to deal with, it has to deal with certain dynamic conditions, which, I mean, these are the 4 dynamic conditions, very common one, 4 or 5 dynamic conditions, which are basically a motor has to face in an industrial application, because there are certain applications where it requires frequent starting, and speed reversal means breaking of that particular speed of the motor. Finally, we have application of load and removal of load. That means you are suddenly applying the load, you are suddenly removing the load. And the most common one is the field weakening, which is a natural phenomena which takes place beyond the base speed. If you're increasing beyond the base speed, going beyond the base speed, then flux starts to weaken up, and then when the flux weakens up, there's no sufficient EMF developed, and the motor starts proceeding. So that is the basic problem in various dynamic conditions which are dealt with, and under that you will have to have a transient response specifications which are to be improved as well. And one such major problem which we face in direct torque control. Now let me introduce you to two types of control, speed control scheme that we deal with in induction motor or either in permanent magnet synchronous motor. All of you are from electrical background, I suppose. Anyone from apart from electrical background? Anyone? Anyone who is there without an electrical background, electrical engineering background, or all of you are from electrical engineering? Yes.
I think mostly from electrical.
Okay, fine. So you all know what is an induction motor and a permanent magnet synchronous motor, and how the speed control technique is evolved. There are basically, to start with, I'll just give you a brief 2 to 4 lines about it. That there are different speed control scheme. That is, we have scalar control and we have vector control. So normally we were dealing with scalar control, that is a constant V by F control, and now we are switching over to, and we have started implementing the vector control in industries as well. So the industry basically in vector control is a technique which is being employed in induction motor and it utilizes the inherent characteristic or ability of a DC motor where we get an orthogonality between the flux and the torque parameter, right? So in a 3-phase induction motor where we have 3 windings, these separation of these 2 parameters is not possible because they are interdependent and there is a mutual coupling between these 3 windings. So obviously torque will be dependent on the flux and flux is dependent on the torque. So the calculation of the speed and monitoring and controlling of the speed becomes difficult in induction motor drive, which is obviously a 3-phase drive. And whereas in case of DC motor, although it is not that good, but then it is being used because of its inherent capability to have a very good speed control because of the 2 windings, that is a torque and flux winding. They are orthogonally or 90-degree apart. The same concept has been used in vector control technique and to achieve the same type of speed control in AC drives as well. I'm not just talking about induction motor drive. It is the AC drive. That means it includes all the brushless DC motors, and we have permanent magnet synchronous motors. We have switched reluctance motors. All the AC drives which are being used, basically they are now employing the vector control technique because of the easiness that is obtained between the separation or isolation of these 2 windings, or you can say, how will you isolate these 2 windings? Obviously you are going to convert the 3-phase winding into 2-phase winding, and that is ABC phases into, you know, alpha beta, or you can say DQ, whatever transformation you want to have, and then you can achieve a vector control technique, speed control technique. So under that vector control technique, we have 2 types of basically control. Number 1 is your field orientation control, FOC we call it, or the second one is your direct torque control. Of these 2, direct torque control is easy in the sense that it does not use any kind of transformation, whereas no modulation is used, and we can easily get converted because we calculate or estimate the torque and flux directly from the speed output of the motor. That is whatever speed that we are obtaining, that torque and flux will be estimated from that, derived from that particular speed, and we can easily have the control. Whereas in case of FOC, field orientation control, we will have to use a kind of transformation, and then only we will be transformation and then inverse transformation. So all that makes the system a bit complex. And secondly, whatever parameters optimization is being done, basically those parameters, they vary with respect to environment and with respect to temperature, heating, pressure, etc. and they may vary, which is not in the case of direct torque control drive. So it is, DTC is a better form of speed control technique in case of AC drives or variable frequency drives. Right, so this is all about the speed control technique that we are going to deal with, and the two AI techniques that they are very old ones. I mean, old ones in the sense they are being used since decades. Fuzzy logic control and artificial neural network control. Nowadays, you have much better optimization techniques available which can be used, but these are the basic ones to just give you an idea of how you will achieve the optimization using a cost function and performance indices in a particular application. That is why I've taken up these two techniques, right? And in DTC, one major disadvantage is that since we are using hysteresis torque controller or hysteresis controller as such, so it leads to ripples, development of ripples in the torque and speed. And these ripples basically, they generate harmonics in the system, which is not desirable in such applications where you require, you can say, jerkless operation, you require jerkless operation, or you want to have a very precise operation. Then in that situation, if ripples or harmonics are present in the motors on the motor side, then it may create some problem and disturbance, right? So first of all, these ripples are to be minimized. How we will be minimizing, that we'll see in the further slides. The three parameters, as I already told you, namely the transient response, ripples and torque, and disturbance rejection capability. It is the capability of any device which basically is tolerant to the disturbance, how sensitive it is to the disturbance. I mean, the more it is sensitive to the disturbance, more it will have problem at the output side. If it is less sensitive, then in that situation, it has the capability to, reject the, or you can, tolerate that much disturbance and still be stable in giving the output. The above three parameters are based on assigning a performance index, as I already told you, those pins that we are going to use in the speed error. And they will be providing a qualitative and quantitative basis of comparison of the performances of this DTC drive using the fuzzy logic control and ANN, right? If you have any problem and if you are not able to understand, then you can ask in between. It is not that you have to ask it till in the last act only, okay? It may be possible that you won't be able to get certain things because this is an area of research. Basically, it is on the higher side. It is not on UG and PG topic. So you may not be able to understand certain part of it. If you're not understanding and not grasping, then you may ask me, and then and there only, okay? So direct torque control scheme, as you can see, there is a reference torque which is being given and reference flux which is being compared with the, as I already told you, torque and flux are estimated from the either from the speed or from the current or voltage of the motor side, right? We estimate it and we give it to the comparator to compare and find out the error. Now this error is basically fed to the hysteresis controller. Now what is an hysteresis controller? Basically a circular trajectory is there and which is known as hysteresis band. We define the upper limit and the lower limit, right? And between that upper and lower limit, the trajectory or the operating point moves. It cannot cross that particular boundary which has been set up. So that hysteresis, so whatever torque or flux that we are obtaining or the error that we are obtaining, we are limiting the error between the two bands. You can, as you can see, the upper band and the lower band that is being defined in hysteresis controller, and the output of the hysteresis controller is given to the switching table. Switching table means it is going to define the switching space vector. Here we are using the space vector modulation technique. So everywhere you are finding that some sort of control is there. see, hysteresis control, one such controller is there. DTC in itself is one such control scheme. Switching, space vector control modulation is there, and finally, which is fed to the inverter. Inverter, basically, this is the block diagram of a DTC, although it looks simple, but then designing of the switching table for a space vector modulation technique is pretty tedious in case of 5-level torque controller. Now, this torque controller is basically conventionally that we use is a 3-level one, and the flux controller that we use is a 2-level one. Then the control signal is fed to the switching table, and it decides, basically this switching table decides how the SARs or the devices that are connected in thyristors that are connected in inverter are going to operate, the gating pattern of that. And finally, this inverter is going to give a output which will be used by the inverter as an input. Now, this output of the inverter is in the form of voltage and current, and the same tapping is being taken up as a feedback to estimate that and achieve the desired output. And this whatever desired output that we want to achieve, we give it as a reference so that the error is getting minimized over a period of time. Every time this process takes place, this hysteresis controller minimizes the error, feeds it to the switching table, which generates the control signal and gating pattern of the inverter, and finally the inverter gives you the output, right? Now, this is the conventional 3-level torque controller that I was talking about, and the 2-level flux controller that we normally use in direct torque control technique. Now, at every stage, you will find that the DTC induction motor or variable frequency drive, we all know that it is a non-linear one. So it is to be optimized in that. I mean, the technique that we'll be using is going to deal with the non-linear problem itself. So 2-level hysteresis controller, as you can see, the variation of the hysteresis band is between -1 and 1. Whereas in case of 3-level, it is -1, 0, and 1. Now, these are the space vectors. I don't know how much you know about the space vector modulation. See, we have PWM technique. All of you know what is a PWM technique?
Yes, ma'am.
What is that?
Pulse width modulation.
What does it do?
Actually, we compare the sinusoidal signal with the triangular carrier signals, and the pulses are generated.
Okay. So one such modulation technique is sinusoidal one. I mean, you can compare it with any of the reference signal. It is not necessary that it has to be a sinusoidal one. Although AC is easily available, that's why we can call it a sine PWM as well. Now, sine PWM or single PWM or in general PWM technique that we talk about is very basic one. This one is a space vector PWM technique, is basically an advanced technique where we define the phase, the voltage that we are going to give it to the, feed it to the inverter as a gating pattern will be decided in a particular hexagonal structure trajectory. As you can see there, the space vector, it is divided into 6 parts basically. That is why it is known as hexagonal one, and then the sectors are divided, that is from sector 1 to 6 you will have 6 sectors, and these voltage reference voltage will lie between these sectors only. This is how you define the switching pattern. If the switches of the inverter, they are going to be switched like this: 1 2 3 4 5 6 switches are there in a 3-phase inverter. So when the condition of hysteresis band, that is flux controller, is like this, is 1 and 0, and hysteresis controller, that is 1 0 -1, and how the switching will take place, and when these switches are on, then which of the voltage vector will be available in which band is given by the table 1. As you can see in table 1, that by switching on the devices in the fashion shown, and with the hysteresis band of flux and torque controller lying in the range, you will get a particular value of the voltage vector that will be present in a sector given in figure 3. And then that particular value of voltage is available across that inverter. Is it clear? Now with this 3-level torque controller, that is figure 2b, you can see that it is varying between -1, 0 and 1. Although it reduces a bit of ripples, but then ripples, the full complete ripple of the torque is not removed using 3-level hysteresis controller. So basically we redefine, or you can say we make it fine. That means that the hysteresis controller is further refined, and it is made to 5-level hysteresis torque controller. Now you can say that now a question arises that why only you are using 5-level torque controller, or why not disturbing the flux controller? See, you have only 2 types of control. We have torque level, that is torque control, and flux control. Now, since it is a vector control technique, so obviously these 2 controls, that is torque and flux, are independent of each other. So either you can make a control modification in torque, or you can make a control modification in flux. It is not that you cannot disturb, or you cannot do changes in flux controller. You can keep the torque controller as it is and change the flux controller and see what output you're going to get, right? So in this case, 5-level torque controller is being modified. That means 3-level is being modified into 5-level, and that level is defined like this: 2, 1, 0, -1, -2. These are the 5 levels which are being defined, and this is how the duty cycle of the devices or SCRs or thyristors that are connected in inverter are switched on. So table 2 basically gives you again the same thing. जैसा कि आपने इसमें देखा, you can see in table 1 that the hysteresis band is defined between, torque band is defined between 1 and -1. Whereas in case of table 2, you see that the torque controller output is defined between 2 and -2, going through 1, -1, and 0. Now, what we do is, instead of defining it in full terms, that is, we when switch 1 is, as you can see in table 1, when switch 1 is on, then we get V4, that is 4th vector, V4 here, which lies in the 2nd sector. This, we get this switching, that is 0, 0, 1, and V4 is available now. And whereas in case of 0, when 0 comes, that is hysteresis torque band torque control goes through 0 value, then you get V0 as the output. Whereas in case of table 2, as you can see that what we do is, when switching band, that is hysteresis controller, passes through 2 level, that is 2nd level value, V4 is applied 100%, whereas when it passes through 1, V4 is applied, V4 and V0 are applied in the ratio of 50%. Half of the value is reduced. So this is how we have modified the switching states, and we obtain the double sectors. Now these are the dotted ones, are the basically sectors which have been further defined. The clear lines are the original space vectors, whereas dotted ones are the further division of the. So there are 12 sectors, as you can see. Of the 6, we have divided further 6. So total 12 sectors are there in 5-level torque controller. And this is how the switching states are defined in case of this one, 5-level torque controller. Okay, so this is after implementing this 5-level switching state, what we do is we go for the speed control technique. Now, speed control technique conventionally that we use is, as someone said, we set a target of Kp, Ki, Kd. किसी ने बोला था अभी, we set a target of Kp, Ki, Kd. We optimize the value of Kp, Ki, Kd, and finally we put that into the control system to obtain the desired output. The same thing is going to happen over here in the DTC control here. What we do is we put the PI controller that is being connected. यहाँ पे हम PI controller लगाते हैं और उसके बाद जो है we put that PI controller and PI, PID जो भी आप use करना चाहते हैं, we put that PI controller or PID controller, and we optimize the value of PID gains. That means the gains of PI controller KP, KI, or if you're using PID, then KP, KI, KD. These three values will be optimized. Now, how they are going to be optimized? That means they're going to be tuned according to the requirement. Now, tuning of that particular PI control technique is known as Ziegler-Nichols. Conventionally, that we use is Ziegler-Nichols or ZN technique that we use. In this case, we will be comparing whatever results that we are going to get with the fuzzy and ANN. Those results will be compared with those of the ZN tuning technique, and we will find that definitely AI control technique has surpassed the performance of ZN tuning technique, right? Now, tuning of parameters is basically, you can say, every time the PID controller gets an error, it minimizes the error, gives a control signal output, and finally you get the desired, you come to the desired, near to the desired value. In that situation, if you say this process of continuously refining the values is known as tuning, and the tuning can be done the conventional technique. As I told you, one conventional technique is ZN, another one is Koppen-Cohen, then we have hit and trial method, and different types of controller techniques, tuning techniques are there. You can use any one of them to standardize or to mark a base for the comparison. So after applying the ZN technique, or after applying the tuning of the ZN technique, we obtain the 3-level and 5-level parameters: response analysis, rise time, peak, overshoot, etc. And we saw that the basic aim or the first target of reducing the ripple has been achieved. All this has been done using MATLAB, which is a very common software, and the same has been experimentally verified also. So these as you can see, these two columns, that is torque ripple, the first parameter that we are basically improving is the torque ripple content of 3-level and 5-level torque controller. You can see that they have been. So with the increase in the level of hysteresis controller, we see that torque ripple is minimized. So if you're going for 5-level or you are going for 7-level or further of that, you will find that these torque ripple content are further reduced. But what is the drawback of increasing the level of torque controller? Anyone? Yes? What will be the drawback if we go for higher level of torque controller?
It increases the complexity of the switching of switching losses, I think, because we have to increase the number of sectors.
Right. So basically, you have to have a compromise between the switching losses and the level of controller. I mean, you have to select, depending upon the application, that which parameter you want to take care of. Either you want to go for the ripple minimization, or you can forego the switching losses, or you want to strike a balance between the two. So I went for 7-level torque controller also, and I saw that although it is reducing the torque ripple content, but then yeah, switching losses are increasing because more frequency you're going to switch on, and the number of sectors are increasing. So the restriction of the operating point between the hysteresis torque controller band is basically getting smoothened up. But since the devices are being switched quite often, they are getting heated up, as well as you are confronting with the switching losses. So it is up to the user end, or depending upon the application, the user has to decide or strike a balance between the parameter optimization and the target that you are going to achieve. So a 5-level torque controller was, in a sense, it is a okay one. It is reducing the ripple content to some extent, as well as it is not making the system complex that much. Now, Coming through the AI technique, we have fuzzy logic speed controller, which is a very, very basic, one of the most, you know, old AI techniques that were invented. And one such technique is fuzzy logic. The name itself is just a very vague one, because whatever we, compare, or we find out, or we track the data, that is very abstract one. It is not well defined. It is some, that is why the name given is fuzzy. I mean, the range which is there, it is not very precise. It lies between 1 and -1, or say 2 and -2, like that. Not precise range is not there, and whatever you compare, that will be, there will be an infinite stages of comparison between 1 and -1. Say we are setting the limit between 1 and -1, still there is an infinite range where this controller has to, all the time compare the values and find out the optimal value as well. So fuzzy logic is basically, it is dependent upon how abstract you are getting. I mean, how the values are defined in an abstract manner. To start with, it includes 3 levels, that is normalization, fuzzification, and defuzzification. Normalization, in the sense, whatever values that you have, they are, they are not fuzzy values. They are in general, जैसे आप you give error or speed error, change in speed error, or error that you are giving, that will be in RPM, and RPM is not a fuzzy value. So what we do is we convert that into the fuzzified form. तो उसके लिए हम normalization करते हैं. We normalize the value and bring those values in the fuzzy system, and then we compare the fuzzy system. We define a rule base, etc. in this box, as you can see, the middle box. There the rule base is defined, and finally the FIS, that is fuzzy inference system, compares the rules and gives you an output. Now the output that is there is again a fuzzified one, which is not an actual output, matlab, not in the sense that the output that we want to get. So what we do is we again, denormalize, or we go for the normalization and find out the final value. So here in this case, we are using 2 types of input, that is error and change in error of the speed. You can use whatever parameter, since we are using a speed controller, so PID is connected at the input side of the speed. And this fuzzy logic speed controller is going to, in totality, it is going to replace the PID controller once it is developed, and finally it is going to tune the value of KP, KIKD. So error and change in error are the 2 inputs that we are giving. The rule base will be defined inside this square box, and finally you get the output. These are the membership functions that we define in case of fuzzy logic. Membership functions are basically, as you can see, that we are use whatever we are using is a very abstract one. ऐसा कोई बहुत precise value नहीं है, like decremental big, incremental small, you can define anyway. जैसे कि हम temperature define करते हैं कि the temperature is very high. So it may be very high, it may be high, it may be 0, it may be less, it may be very less. So that way we are defining the values, or we are defining the control expression of the fuzzy logic, depending upon the membership functions that we are using. Normally, membership functions that we take in case of speed control of induction motor or variable frequency drive is 7. As you can see, for both the inputs and the outputs, there are 7 membership functions that we are defining. And these membership functions are of particular shape. They may be sigmoidal, they may be triangular, they may be trapezoidal, again, depending upon the application. Now, I went for, using different types of, different numbers of rather, membership functions. I went for 3, then 5, then 7, 9, and so on, and then defined the rule expression and got that 7 is an optimized number where you get, again, you strike a balance between the sluggishness of the control and the output that you obtain, that is precise output that you obtain. Although fuzzy logic gives you a good amount of accuracy, but then it makes the system very sluggish, because every time it has to go through the parameters in a very vague manner. It is not, since the values are not well defined, so it has to every time carry on the process through the these abstract values that you are defining through the rule base. So fuzzification, there are different fuzzification method, Mamdani and Siguno. So here in this case, we are using Mamdani, whereas Siguno you can use where you want singleton output. Singleton output means you want only one output of the all calculation. Then you use a Siguno method. Otherwise, we normally go for Mamdani fuzzification method, where it uses compares and give you number of optimal values. And then a defuzzification method here uses centroid one. In this case particularly, we are using membership function as triangular and trapezoidal for the outermost. These are the rule bases which have been defined. Finally, when you incorporate these membership functions and fuzzy logic controller in the whole model of the DTC induction motor drive, this is how you incorporate it. Instead of PI controller, यहाँ पे पहले PI controller लगा हुआ था, and now that same PI controller has been removed and fuzzy logic controller as such has been put up. So this is another controller. This is definitely an optimal control because it is tracking the target, and the target is basically tuning of PID gains. So that target is to be achieved by minimizing the transient, or by improving the transient response specifications. And this fuzzy logic controller is basically doing the same thing. So it is being employed in a nonlinear control system, which is a basically variable frequency drive, and you're replacing the PID controller as such with the fuzzy logic controller. And these are the parameters that you are obtaining after the simulation or evaluation of the model. You can see that peak overshoot has been reduced to some extent. Peak overshoot is reduced, but the settling time is not yet achieved in a proper manner. So I told you that this is because the fuzzy logic speed controller, basically what happens is it makes the system sluggish. It is not a fast one. It every time as you increase the membership function, as you increase the rule base, the control logic, the fuzzy logic will become further sluggish. It makes the system overdamped in the sense it makes the system sluggish. So the settling time is reached, although it is reached, but it takes a lot of time to settle. Now these are the few different dynamic conditions that we achieved, and depending upon from these graphs we calculated the values of these parameters. These they have been achieved from these graphs. Starting speed reversal. In speed reversal, now at the time of starting, you can see that the torque is very high. The torque is high, but it has been limited. See, a limiter is connected over here to limit the torque within the range. So it was very high, but since a limiter is connected, so the torque has been limited. But still, at the time of starting, you can see that the torque is very high, and the stator current that we are actually getting is basically, it has got high magnitude with a less frequency, and as it settles down, that means as the speed catches up with the reference value, the stator current settles down with a fixed constant magnitude and a constant frequency. Similarly, when there is a disturbance in case of speed reversal, that is braking you are applying, you're reducing the value of the speed, the torque is also getting reduced, as you can see, in the negative direction. And during the braking, the current is again achieved, it has got a high value of magnitude and less frequency, and thereafter again when the speed settles down, then you achieve the constant speed and constant magnitude in case of stator current. Now come to the load application and load removal. Now in load application, we are applying the load suddenly. It is not that gradually we are applying. As you can see, it is an instantaneous rise in the load and instantaneous fall in the load. So it has to be sudden so that a dynamic condition arises. If you are making the load application of load gradual, then it does not lead to dynamic condition. It may lead to steady state limit, but it will not lead to transients in the system, in the motor. So to achieve the dynamic condition, you have to apply the load and remove the load instantaneously, as you can see in the graph. The load is directly dependent upon the current, because as you increase the load, the current increases, and which is directly proportional to torque. So torque also increases, but the speed reduces during that time. And as you remove the load, the current reduces, torque reduces, and finally the speed achieves the reference value. Now the last one is field weakening. In field weakening, what happens is when you go beyond the base speed, as you can see over here, दिख रहा है आपको graph clear है कि नहीं? Is the graph clear or not? Can you all see the graph?
Yes ma'am, clear ma'am.
Okay. So when you go beyond the base speed, I told you that the flux weakens up. That means sufficient amount of flux is not developed. So when there is not sufficient amount of flux, so obviously it will not have EMF developed, proper EMF nahi develop hoga, and the motor will not run. So this field weakening process is to be taken care of very very frequently, because we have to see that the motor does not stop after weakening of the flux. This is another dynamic condition that a motor has to face when the speed goes beyond the base speed or the synchronous speed. Now, till now we were dealing with fuzzy logic control, which was a very vague one, abstract one, and we defined the control expressions, which is a tedious task, because every time you have to, for each of the membership functions, you have to give a abstract value and then define and as the number of membership functions increases, the number of rules also increase. See, there are 49 rule bases that we have defined in 7x7 membership functions of the input. As you can see that there are 49 values and every time this fuzzy logic has to go through these 49 values, and it has to compare and then finally find out the value. A much better and a fast technique that we use is with the help of the available data is artificial neural network. Now, artificial neural network is basically a biological system where it has been derived from a biological system, because in our body we have neural cells and we have neurons which transmit the signals from one part to another. Say from hand, you want to move your hand, so obviously from hand it has to go to the brain, and then brain is going to give the instruction to the hand that it has to be moved. So that whole process takes place with the help of neurons and nerves that are carrying the signals from different cells to the brain cells. If you're watching something, if you're hearing something and you want to understand those things, then definitely that has to be grasped. That means you're watching through your eyes, the eyes are giving signals to the brain, the neurons are carrying the signals, they are whatever brain is going to give the action, that will be carried out by the eyes. अब मान लीजिए आप कान से सुन रहे हैं और आपको ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये कुछ काम का नहीं है, तो आप आइडल होके बैठ जाएंगे। सुनने के बाद भी आपका ब्रेन ये नहीं कहेगा कि आप जो है इस चीज को, इस पे रिएक्ट करिए, इसको समझने की कोशिश करिए। नहीं, आप सुन भी रहे हैं लेकिन आपके दिमाग में वो चीज नहीं जा रही है। Although you are physically present, but mentally you are absent. Or we say this term quite often when आपको कोई चीज नहीं अच्छी लगती है पर सुनना पड़ रहा है या देखना पड़ रहा है, तब उस केस में आप क्या करते हैं, देखते तो रहते हैं, सुनते रहते हैं, लेकिन दिमाग में वो चीज नहीं जाती है। That means proper signals are not getting carried away through the neurons to the brains, and the brain is not giving any kind of controls action that is to be performed by eyes or ears. और अगर आपको कोई चीज ध्यान लगा के सुननी है, उसको समझना है, तो आप क्या करते हैं, उसको सुनते हैं, ब्रेन में भेजते हैं सिग्नल, और फिर उसके बाद ब्रेन ये कहता है कि नहीं, इसको दिमाग में रखना है. देन यू ट्राई टू रिमेम्बर द थिंग, कि आपने जो सुना, जो देखा, उसको आप याद रखने की कोशिश करते हैं, एंड देन दैट एक्शन टेक्स प्लेस. Similarly, you are walking, while driving, every time any kind of activity that you are doing with your body is performed basically through the neurons that are present in the system. So artificial neural network is one such network which is defined and designed on the basis of neurons present in the body and how these neurons carry the signals or data. So these are the few steps that we go for in designing of the algorithm of ANN. And this is the ANN model that we developed. So here we have neural network. This neural network has got two layers. We are giving the input and we are giving KP and KI as the output. See, step one, the required inputs are fed to the neural network. Now, in case of drive, where we are using PI speed controller, in this case, we are using PI speed controller. If PID is used, then definitely the target will be KP, KI, KD. Tuning is done in order to have improved transient responses, the same steady state speed responses that we are taking up, reduced peak overshoot, settling time, steady state error, etc., etc. And these transient response specification, our target is after improving the ripples in the torque and speed, we are going for the improvement in the performance of the motor or the drive by reducing the or by minimizing the peak overshoot and achieving the improved transient response specification. Now these transient response specifications are the time domain specifications that you have all studied in second order control system. जब हम second order system पढ़ते हैं तो उसमें we come across such terminologies. Then second step is to decide the target. The targets are the desired values of the variables to be optimized. In this case, since PI speed controller is being tuned up, so the gains of the PI speed controller are made the target variables. If it is a PID controller, it will become a KP, KI, KD. Instead of PI controller, if you are using a sliding mode control or if you are tuning some other controller, then the gain of that particular controller will become, you can, instead of PI controller, you can use model predictive controller as well here in this case, and you can set the target. Now ANN, what the advantage of ANN is that it trains the network. Basically the training of the neural network is done using the data available from the ZN technique. What you do is you employ the ZN technique for tuning of the PI speed controller. Now ZN technique is giving you almost, not exactly, but to some extent an optimal value. Now you want to further refine this optimal value and you want to have an accurate value, and that can be achieved when you are basically training the data obtained from the existing tuning method so as to improve over that particular method. Are you getting my point? Basically, आपने एक टेक्निक यूज कर ली, ZN टेक्निक यूज किया, उससे आपको एक वैल्यू मिली. अब उस वो वैल्यू ऑलरेडी आपको एक अच्छा रिजल्ट दे रही है, बहुत अच्छा नहीं दे रही है, but then yeah, definitely it is giving a much better result as compared to hit and trial method and etc. You are getting a much better result using the ZN technique. Now you want to further improve that result जो आपको ZN technique से मिल रहा है, आप उसको further enhance करना चाहते हैं, and that enhancement is done using the ANN. I mean, it can be done in a much better way using ANN rather than fuzzy logic. आप ANN यूज करिए और जो आपका ZN का डेटा है, जो आपको ZN से KP, KI, KD का पूरा डेटा मिला है, उसको as it is आप जो है ANN में यूज कर लीजिए and train the data. So whatever new values that you will get, whatever new optimized value you will get, it will be a better one of the ZN technique that you are using. So the training of neural network generated from the data available in step 1 and 2 is carried out by setting the goal parameters to a minimum. Now here the goal parameter is basically the performance index that we were defining. Here the performance index, say ISE integral square error or integral absolute error you are using, one of the performance indices will be set as a goal parameter and it will be minimized. The error data in the form of error vector matrix is generated to ensure the desired convergence. Convergence means how fast you achieve the desired target is known as convergence. तो कितना आपका न्यूरल नेटवर्क अच्छे से, जितना अच्छे से काम करेगा, जितना फास्ट काम करेगा, उतनी जल्दी आपका convergence achieve होगा. But neither the prescribed goal or the number of epochs during the training of the network is met, the training stops. Now, the target achieved after the training of the network yields the optimized values of the output. In case of tuning PI, the target, as I already told you, कि आपका एक target है, बहुत ही simple तरीके से आप AI technique को लीजिए. You just understand that you have a target and the target is to be achieved by refining the data available, and that refining of the data is done using AI technique. और AI की जितनी techniques होती हैं, be it bee colony optimization, be it your ANN, be it your genetic algorithm, be it particle swarm, कोई भी आप technique लेंगे, उसमें एक ही चीज होती है कि basically आप जो भी आपका target होता है और उस टारगेट को अचीव करने के लिए आप कुछ पैरामीटर्स जो आपके कॉस्ट फंक्शन होते हैं उसको आप मिनिमाइज करते हैं by training or by getting every time you are comparing the data with that particular set and you are achieving or you are getting one output out of that. These optimized values of PI controller. Now this is the algorithm which is being defined for ANN. So जब आपको ये target achieve हो गया, that means you got the optimal value of or tuned value of KPKI. Those optimized values of KPKI will be put or incorporated in the DTC induction motor drive for the obtaining of the result. Finally, the result will be compared with the ZN tuning method as shown in the table 3. पहले जो हम दिखा चुके हैं. These are the internal structure of neural network which is being developed in MATLAB nowadays. बहुत आसान है. We have ANN tool as well. We have fuzzy tool. We have GA tool. Although you can get more precise and more accurate form of result when you are programming the things. But since tools are available, toolboxes are available, you can directly use them, feed the data, feed the input, feed the target, and feed the training data or the data set, and you will get the neural network developed. These are the KPKI values which we have opted. Finally, the results and discussions. In case the results which we are obtained in fuzzy logic, the similar kind of results are obtained using ANN, but with an improved value. The inset of the graph, you can see there is an inset in the graph where the values are defined, and you can see that the settling time is much earlier achieved as compared to fuzzy logic 1. You can see from here as well table 7, which shows the settling time of the ANN which has been achieved. It is improving the peak overshoot, that is, it is reducing the value of the peak overshoot. The system is not overdamped. Remember, the system here is not overdamped. In case of fuzzy logic, it became overdamped system, but in case of ANN, the system is not overdamped. It is critically damped, or you can say it is underdamped, and the system is settling down to a certain value in a much faster way as compared to the fuzzy logic one. Now, so with this, I hope to conclude with, the page is blank just because that I wanted to have a conclusion of advanced control system over the AI technique that we are using in variable frequency drives. So with this, having an idea of how the AI technique is being implemented, you can see that advanced control system, whatever conventional techniques that are present, they are very much complex. They require state variable estimation. They require precise knowledge of states of the variables, that is status of the variables, and then only you can achieve the target. Whereas in case of artificial intelligence technique or machine learning technique, you just have to have a set of data which is already obtained from the conventional technique, and from there you can easily take the data and extrapolate the things. Extrapolate in the sense, you have a set of data, you have a cost function, and you have a well-defined variable which are compared, and finally you get an output of that. Out of that, in what can be the near output in future. So this is all about advanced controls technique which we are using in nowadays in every research area that we are having, in case of say electrical applications, or in chemical applications, or in mechanical also. In some of the, although the name is mechanical engineering, but still it is using AI techniques in achieving certain targets and mechanical components as well. So AI technique is very advanced form of optimal control technique. That means it is tracking, it is using the trajectory path, and tracking control system is used in AI. It tracks the various points, various data sets, and finally gives you a value. I hope if you have any questions, you can ask me. I'm now finished. Over to the coordinators for the
thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Any queries?
Ma'am, can you tell me what is the reason of ripples in torque induction motor output?
Vision of or reason of?
Reason of.
Reason of is basically you are using an inverter, right? So
okay.
It is a power modulator, and you are using a semiconductor device which has got an inherent quality of introducing harmonics into the system. So basically these harmonics and ripples are introduced because you are converting one form of supply to another form. So
okay.
that kind of, I mean, when you are using inverter or a converter or cycloconverter, any kind of semiconductor device that you will be using, they are going to, in a way, they have the disadvantage that they lead to development of harmonics or ripples in the system.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, can you tell me any good book we go through to understand these concepts we are discussing in this lecture? Easy book.
Yeah, one such book is there, Fundamentals of Electric Drives by B.K. Bose.
B.K. Bose.
B.K. Bose. Bimal K. Bose.
Thank you.
It is a very good book. It is every researcher should go through this book if you are doing research in power electronics or in control of power electronics or electric drives.
Okay. Thank you.
Any more queries? Participants. Ma'am, I think no more queries.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank
you very much.
I
hope that everyone has understood whatever I've said. So it's a good thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am,
okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am. In your busy schedule, you have accepted our invitation.
Thank you. Thank you.
You have shared knowledge to participants.
Yes,
you,
for organizing such a successful event, and hopefully by 5th day you will be, a better coordinator, and you will be able to organize more such FDPs. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, participants. So tomorrow first session will start from 10 a.m. onwards. Thank you very much.